No. Reduce them by 8. They'll be 12,000. Well, we're not even, we'll leave that.
Board meeting for
So you're set for the minutes, and so I
do we do just a work meeting? Do we deal with that?
well, I haven't said that this is the regular meeting at 6:30. So you would, yeah, you would call it to order. You would do that.
This is a regular meeting now.
Yeah, so I was.
That's how it's paid.
How do we do it?
What I would suggest is do it right after roll call, before public comment, and then I would just delay everything public comment down until 7. So then he can leave if he wants or whatever.
Okay.
We can do the regular stuff at 7.
Got it. All right. So we're going to do, regular, get started, we'll do the budget business, call the order. This is right here, we'll call break up here. And then after Mike's done, we don't do any of this till 7.
Yes, I go, good. Yes, nice one.
6:28.
We'll get it going. It's like the biggest family in family. You gotta shout this to get your point.
Yeah, it's in my office.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah, let's warm up.
How are you?
All right, how you doing?
Keep an eye
He might be mouth to mouth.
on.
You gotta do that anymore?
You just got.
I like
Oh, you like?
Yeah.
Because is this posted on township page?
Yeah, this goes on my township page, yeah. And then I share it to the, like, local sites or whatever.
Yeah.
The agenda is ready, so.
Hey,
What's
Ben.
up? How you doing?
Good. Just got back from backpacking. Hills in Tennessee.
Really?
Kinda cool. It was the big salad bar. Braidwood.
We call this order, meeting order, start with pledge of allegiance. Todd, would you like to start?
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Michael.
Yes.
Commissioner Money.
Yes.
Commissioner Saltzman.
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, now we're gonna bring to order a meeting, with Mike Ginta over some lots on the towns of Braidwood. We'll start with Mike.
Thank you.
A little quick history. I've said this before at other meetings, but in 2018, the city and I entered into a contract to purchase the balance of the lots in Braidwood, in the towns of Braidwood. And because we each had certain obligations, we're here today to discuss how that we could successfully get it completed. I brought some documents that could shed some light on what's over there, what we've done in the past. shows you the lots that are being discussed and their addresses. And in accordance with our contract, the city was responsible for doing the improvements of the lots that today are unimproved. Some of the lots are partially improved. If you look at the one drawing that looks like a triangle, all of those lots have sewer and water and a road with curb, but doesn't have a final surface. I'm sorry. Doesn't have the final surface of the road. And
I got extra here, you give it
like,
you can be extra.
okay, thank you. And we don't know if all the lots have sewer and water.
Let me check it.
Where they're marked, some of them are marked where water goes across the street and marked on the curb to locate the utility on each lot. But there are many that are missing. And the same thing applies to sewer. In the packet I gave you, the following document was the letter that I sent to Tony a couple weeks ago, because we were going to have a meeting. I thought we were going to have an executive session, but that didn't work out. So in that letter, it provides a couple issues. One that we discussed over the past 2-3 months or more, that I could do the improvements in that subdivision in exchange for the lots. There was a little bit of backlash on that through Tony, and we're open to any combination or any way that we can get this subdivision completed. If I were to donate $5,000 every time I sell a house on one of those lots. I think the number should be more than that, but we could get the improvements completed and use those funds specifically to do the improvements. The next document is an estimate to complete the improvements that the city had. I don't know the date on this document, but the total is $480,000. The following document after that was my bid originally for the ordinance that 1816, whatever that ordinance is that we entered into, so that I could buy the lots and the city could do the improvements. And then the following document should be the estimate from the village's engineer during the last administration. And their estimate came to $400,000. And I think because some of the houses have been completed in the subdivision, and some of the work that required to be completed, we've done some, and I know Public Works has done some. The other document is my FOIA, the response. But those are the numbers that we're dealing with. We currently have a proposal from deconstruction that the city also has in their file somewhere. That's about $400,000. My bid on all the lots came to about $58,000. So if we could, and it's like 42 lots that remain, if we can come up with some agreement that these improvements get done, I could do some in advance, I could do some over the course of the entire project, I could make contributions at the end of each house sale. There's many things that we can do. So I'm here to get feedback to see if we can get this accomplished.
All right, so I talked to Mr. Gensel, we've met many times, trying to figure out how we can move forward with this stuff, and there's a lot of different ways. I was making suggestions that maybe we, if he wants to be building on some of the ones that are basically ready to go now, my suggestion was maybe we get an account where we set 10,000 per lot or something of that, just for, which would go towards the road. It just being a lot that kind of secures money in case, who knows what happens in the future, and go from there. I mean, Mr. Gintz is willing to do, whichever we'd like to do it. At the time, I'm not sure why the city would wanna spend, well, I think the one bid is 390,000 or something like that, and sell something for 250. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because we're losing a couple $100,000 doing it. But again, Mr.
You're
Gintz,
gaining 200,000.
I'm sorry?
You're gaining 200. My purchase price was 250.
Right,
The work to be completed is 400.
right,
Which is
so I'm
your-
saying before, if we did the road, we would be giving up the money. Now, if Mr. Gintz, who's offered to do the difference, then we would be gaining the money, we would break even. So as long as we're not losing money, as I don't personally have an issue in my suggestion, the only thing I was concerned about is how do we secure everything, and Mr. Gintz offered that, not a line of credit,
Either a letter of credit or performance bond.
yeah, letter of credit or performance bond, which is a standard for most, when we do subdivisions, that's what we require, just to get something moving forward on some of these. I mean, the city could do them if we were to do them and try and sell them ourselves. We're not really gonna gain a lot of money ground on them. We'd like to see, of course, houses get in here sooner the better, because that's more tax dollars or money on the tax roll. So it's kinda, up to you guys, what you guys think your opinion is, and how would you like to proceed? I know he said he's got 4 or 5 or 6 or something, whatever, pre-sold, so I don't know if there was a preference on lots you were doing.
A couple of weeks ago.
Right, so, we have some there that on Western are more or less ready to go, pending sewer and water. We discussed, we don't know if it's, can't imagine they put a road over without running sewer water under the road, but we need to, we can have the city go with some of our new equipment that we've got, and grants, and actually locate and go through to find, where all these are. So we just kinda gotta get feedback from all you guys on what would be your, preferable act. Do we wanna sign it over, or, I'm sorry, get into a actual current contract that says, you're gonna be responsible for all improvements, but to get started, how do we wanna do it? Like he said, he's do part now, part later. I believe he's pretty much open to whatever it takes to get it done. So, anybody?
And feel a little bit of comfortability talking, because right now nothing's finalized. The purchase and sale agreement calls for a development agreement to correspond with it. So whatever we're discussing tonight, we would put into a development agreement draft that would then have to come in front of you guys to formalize and approve it.
And Mr. Ginta asked for a executive session, but due to Open Meetings Act, we can't have more than a few of the commissioners together and talk business. So that's why we're having this portion of the meeting now, is so that it's open to the public. So Doug?
I have a question when it comes to the performance bond. I believe on this property in the past, there was a performance bond that wasn't kept up, and the city ended up on the losing end of that. I want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And we would do that through our attorney and Mr. Ginta's attorney, and make sure that everything was, I don't have the facts of what happened the last time. I believe they went under and once.
They went under and the bond wasn't maintained, so
Right.
when we went to collect on the bond, it was no longer there.
Okay,
I say we get an agreement with them and go ahead, ball rolling.
what do you got, Wayne?
I agree. Go for it, you know, with attorneys.
I think it's gonna be find out, put it together, everybody. I don't see where we put up any money up front right now, I don't do it anything.
We're not putting money up front. Mr. Ginta had offered to,
That's what I said, and we
okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Michaels, what's your opinion?
I would like to move forward, get it rolling.
So,
Any idea as to which kind of format that you'd be leaning towards?
what do you guys do? Like I said, he's, doing multiple ways, and I've, as a builder, I've also done ways where we built in subdivisions paid after they sell. We lien the property, so his house can't sell without us signing off on it. So in that form, for the most part, it's a pretty safe venture. Mr. Wellner, what's your opinion on that?
Letter of credit is in there, right?
Yeah, I would leave the ultimate call up to our development attorney in our office
Okay.
before I make that call, but I've seen both.
Okay,
I've seen letter of credit, I've seen bonds. As long as it's tied into the contract, whatever it is, it's maintained, both should be there and capable of the city collecting.
so Mr. Ginta, you have kind of pushed me to what would be your preferable, what would be your preference? If you had a preference to do it, what direction would you go? I mean, you talked about wanting to maybe do some of the improvements now, or what would you be talking about with that?
Initially, I would do the stormwater on Cermak, that's not completed because all the houses that I built there, we're now finishing up, and we have an issue on the last 4 or 5 houses with the, discharge not having any place to go.
Okay, is that the one that goes in between those two houses, kind of
Yeah.
to the north?
That's correct.
Okay.
So that would be the first thing I would address. And then I would address, water main extension, sanitary, sewer extension, and I would do those in phases. My intent would be, I have 5 pre-solds, and some of which are backing up to the highway, which are very difficult lots to sell.
Yeah.
And,
And again, the lots are ours, but what they also have covenants to deal with, so he gets to deal with both,
yeah.
so.
So, we would start on the far north end, which is where the homes are existing, and work our way south on Western Avenue and Kyle Court. I would be using profits from the sale of those lots, and then I would be starting to do the improvements on the balance of the lots. Sewer and water extensions from, and that's the procedure I would follow.
Okay. So, like I
It's
said,
at a certain amount per house.
right, so I would suggest we get maybe some agreement on some certain amount for the house. This makes it, it's just kind of tough to do a project like this, the way we're doing it, just because, we don't know what the economy's doing. So, I mean, economy's good now, but it could go bad in 2 or 3 years. We have 44 lots roughly, or 42, and what are we doing a year right now? 5 houses,
I'll have a dozen this year.
dozen this year, so, you know, that puts us at 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So. I
So
would,
the time is now.
the time is now. The next 2 or 3 years, I think, are gonna be our, with everything we have going and all the business heading this way, I definitely think the next 3 to 5 years is gonna be our massive growth span. So I don't really, I'm not too concerned about anything selling. So you guys kind of give us your opinion. I kind of like the $10,000 a lot, you know, because if he does 7 or 8, that's 70 or 80. And he does 70 or 80, you can get him a, you know, a quarter of of what he's looking for. Like I said, I think the storm sewer you have to kinda do right now, because you have to, isn't it right in the back of that 1 yard? So you have to get it out of them,
I've
just so you can.
connected to the storm right next to the highway.
Okay, so he's gonna have to do some of that right now just to, finish up on the current houses he's doing anyway, so he's gonna have some money injected into it right away himself anyway. So, I probably guessing we're gonna have to really sit down more with the attorneys and Mike's attorney to get down kind of how we wanna do it. But I'm looking for commissioners to, give me their opinion on, would they be comfortable with 5,000, 10,000 a lot? I, just being a builder also, know that the more you hold me accountable and the more I'm putting up, the more, likely I'm gonna make sure that I finish up on everything. Plus, if something happens, we have a performance bond, plus let's just say we have 10 or 12 or 14 lots, that could be 140 grand.
I think the number based on the previous village engineer's calculation of 400,000, I think that's a good number for us to agree on. And we may save some money in the process, but if you were to take the number of lots that we're getting, 44 or whatever the number is, divided into 400, that should be like 9,000, 9,200, whatever that number is. Take that number, put it in a special account where I can't use the money, and you can't use the money for anything other than road and, development improvements. And
What year was that estimate?
The first one I believe
18, I think.
wasn't the first one, I think they had an
This
original
is
one, that was like
15.
15.
The original one was it didn't have a date on it.
Are you talking about, when the Cermak went in the back, that one you gonna start on first?
The MG2A shows,
I'm not sure.
7, 9,
That
15.
run, if the road's not in, off of Cermak, where you build it now, the one, the street in the back is in the first one.
The one in the back. But there's supposed to be, the storm that I'm referring to, we got a storm in the front of those lots, but that's primarily for the road. The houses, there is one at 944 Cermak, which is
To the east, the second, third one from the
correct,
end.
it's on the east side. And a couple of those houses are connected to the system. But the other one that I'm just now finishing now and a couple others, we need to extend the storm in the back of those lots.
The storm sewer and the water dead end, for some reason it went in between two houses, and then it stopped right at or about the property line, maybe a little farther.
I know the storm sewer's not in there yet.
That's right. And I think the city started it, but then they ran into power lines that were unmarked by ComEd on a Julie, and then we stopped.
Right, I know the city ran, finished the sewer and water across their front Cermak lots, that's why I'm not, with these numbers, I'm not sure where they're at, but, whatever we need to do to get moving is kinda.
Yeah, whatever the number is,
Right, okay.
I mean, we're both maybe responsible for that.
It would be just about impossible to bring them lots up to the others, and that'd be too much expense.
Yeah.
You're not planning on that?
No.
That's okay. I've looked it over, I know what's,
Yeah, because we were running into the issue, we're collecting water in the front of the houses, so that's when we started installing all the pipes underneath the sidewalks, pipes from the house, and kept moving it to the street. I think all those houses have turned out pretty nice up there.
it's not gonna be that much water to get rid of.
No, there won't be any water.
You did a good job, Mike, all those houses, really nice.
Thank you. I would ask one thing though. I'd like to have permission to advertise, or not advertise, but to enter into contracts on my pre-solds. And in that letter that I sent you a couple weeks ago.
The ones on backing up to the highway?
Yeah, it has addresses and lot numbers. I'd like to at least get permission, because I don't own them, to enter into contract to build. And I don't know if the city would wanna sign off on it too, but, at least give me permission to continue to move forward. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose some people.
I would suggest not doing anything informal. I would suggest building that into a development agreement. Cause if something happens, you know, it sounds like we're all gonna enter into a happy agreement, but you never know what'll happen between now and the signatures. You might hate us in a week or vice versa, you never know.
So, just a thought, throwing it up there, let's say, that since he does have some interested in possible pre-sold, and this is not saying he agrees with it either, is that some of these lots are available to be built on now. What if, what if we put a contract price of, we sell them a lot under contract for $15,000, and if we don't get this whole thing together, it just gives him the incentive to do it, plus we're selling lots anyway, because they're already ready to build on. So we do have the possibility of getting rid of some of them now, or something like that.
If you're doing it pursuant to the agreement that's already in place from like 2000 whatever, you know,
Yeah.
that's fine, but if you're creating new agreements, we're bound to the same restrictions that they were bound and
Okay,
at that time.
just putting that out there, just, trying to do this,
We can try and, you know, speed past this, you know, drafting the agreement as quickly as we can.
right,
But outside of that, there would be no change in the original agreement without entering into a new agreement.
understood.
And it's easier to change future obligations as opposed to the past price.
Okay,
Because that, the price of property to be sold from the city is pretty strict how you gotta do it.
yeah, okay.
How about if I buy those lots now, in accordance with my bid?
We have to take a look at the contract, as long as we follow it, that should be fine. I mean, a previous administration has already approved it. The only piece that's really missing are, you know, both parties, you know, consummating some issues, but probably the development agreement is the biggest piece that's missing from that contract.
So, is that something that you could create?
The development agreement?
Well, no,
Absolutely.
I guess maybe I would have to demand that we execute or perform in accordance with our agreement.
Which requires the development agreement.
Yeah. No, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. I was curious if they had ever provided you a draft of one. I don't know how far you guys got on this with the previous administration, but we have not been able to locate any.
I have not found any development contract. I mean, I believe that the last contract they did is they finished off where they put the bid out, and got, as Mr. Ginter was the highest bidding party, and, I don't believe they ever get him anything farther than that.
I figured it that much.
Yeah.
That letter that you drafted made reference to the executed contract, and I think you did have it somewhere.
I do. So that's the purchase and sale agreement for these lots.
Yeah.
One term of that agreement is that the parties shall execute a development agreement. That's what we're talking about now. Who has the obligations of development for what, you know, when this stuff is supposed to happen. That's an integral part of that agreement.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
well,
we can maybe, we'll get information switched right away. I mean, tomorrow, you get hold of me, I'll get with.
You guys probably, the easiest way to probably do it is, you guys talk mutual terms, and I got some from the discussions tonight, but I mean, we can put together the bones of it, you know, the general structure, and then, you know, we start exchanging information back and forth, where we suggest something, provided that his attorneys, they make suggestions back and forth until we get it ironed out. It's probably the
but you
easiest way.
can only do the final draft until, you can't do a final draft until these people direct you to do so, right?
It's not finalized until they approve, but we can negotiate it to a final draft to provide to them.
Okay.
And in the meantime, we can discuss,
So then, gonna be based on, board meetings, what schedule we can get on with, to get them to approve.
We get the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, so if, let's just say.
I'm just thinking timeline. 'cause
Right.
Yeah,
We may lose some buyers, so, in the process, but, however fast we can get it done, I'm prepared to work.
I mean, worst case scenario, if we had to, we could call a special meeting or something. How long do we have to have notice by?
For a special
After we
meeting?
have an agreement.
after you have the
After we
agreement,
get, we all agree before the council, we have to have a time frame where it just comes to the next meeting.
no, you can do a special meeting in emergencies or whatever it is, but it's, OMA defines it, it's like 72 hours or something like that. But,
So
you know,
let's just
it would be, to say that both parties would agree on all terms by the second week of May is probably far-fetched.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Okay.
So we get started on it right away tomorrow.
So maybe, you know,
Works for me.
the hope is maybe end of May,
Yeah.
hopeful.
Well, and if your buyers too, they can see that, they can watch Mr. Gustav's videos too and see that everybody seems to be on the positive side of it.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I thank you for your time, and, we'll work as quickly as we can to get it done.
My suggestion would be, maybe a start of talking to your attorney, having them draw up something, or propose maybe that,
You'll have it Thursday.
there you go.
Proposed terms and maybe the phasing structure that you threw out tonight.
Something, and that can always change, go faster.
Yeah.
It's never where you can't do it faster than we want. If you get them done, you wanna go next step.
Yeah.
This way, there's kind of a footprint of what we're gonna do.
Yeah, we'll get it done as quickly as we can. I appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna take about a 5-minute break, just so, before we finish up the meeting, just so we can get a laptop set up so that we can kind of post, so you guys can see the agenda we're gonna put up. So if anybody has questions, you'll be able to kind of scroll through it. So 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, however long it takes me to get this set up, and we'll be good to go.
Sure.
Hey Bill, how you doing?
Good, good, thank you.
You, how's the cart shop going?
Good, excellent, yeah.
I gotta get out there and get a tire for my sister's cart. Put it in, I don't know what the hell happened to it. Right down the road.
Oh,
Trying to get up there and get the same trail. Yeah. I don't know if that'll be hard to do or not.
yeah. Don't know the answer to that one.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Just working, I did that place already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are those all electric carts out there, or are they gas?
There's a couple, yeah.
You got that thing on the Claypool branch, right?
Yeah.
I've been, the last time I got a quote from them on where the money was going, everything was redacted out except for the lawyer's name. So I'm going back over there, I'm gonna go in front of the court and force them to give it up, because there's $200-something thousand. They have done the 2 jobs in the last 26 years I've been on that corner. And I saw the 2 jobs that they did, and they were less than $10,000 a piece, and I know the 3 people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they won't say how much they get paid.
Right.
But there's you're talking about every year, some $100,000, $250,000 a year.
Oh, that's the biggest scam there is, that's Claypool.
Well, one thing was, you may remember when that kid ran from Old City Police Department, dead in the ditch a couple of months later. Very diamond, it was about 7 or 8 years ago. The ditch over behind, Farmstone, I had between there and, 113. Managed to get down there and he never found him.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah, yeah. I know folks who run farm and all that out there.
The diamond, they mow the grass on, Spring Road between Will and Burton Road, on that one good side. And then he was out there picking up grass up today on Will Road side. And I'm right there in the damn corner, I mow 300-foot section of road right there, twice a month. I don't get paid to do it, I do it, it's my, gotta be a little nice, but I Every time I go on to get it,
Oh, never could. Never could.
and like I said, hopefully this time, you know, they'll give it to me, I'll stand around the corner, hey, hell, I want to.
Well, if you want freedom, maybe next year, they gotta go.
But everything he's done, every redacted. Yeah, it was like 4 pages long.
Well, we could do what I
When you're cooking, so let's do that.
we could do what I file with the state's attorney on that, but he'll be back and forth for 2 years and then finally get in.
I like your mask.
We look pretty good for being, it's supposed to be terrible. Much watch.
How about done? I think that, yeah, everybody before we can get this done, they don't want to have the rest of the.
Oh, yeah,
I got mine.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna, you're never gonna get everything. So, the whole thing's just crazy.
That was about broke.
Yeah, that's better.
Boy, I run into a deal the other day on the internet, golf cart tires, mag wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
No,
I ran over this machine, I, $25. Yeah. It's an entire rim, you know, the tire mag, the whole 9 yards. And they're a good looking tire. So I sent my nephew over there. I got him on a Tuesday, he went on a Saturday and he was out of it.
Especially.
And he's like, I got another 2 pallets coming, he said, I got another 500 of that all my coming.
I do.
Yeah. They're auto cars.
Oh, yeah. Auto cars. Does it have a subscription thing online? Because I certainly want one.
Or something, they brand new. I get in there so much, you get brand new.
Yeah. I get the cash and that's all it's.
Huh?
And then it's WSPY or WCSD.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm gonna tell you right now, what I'm saying, you say in the middle of nowhere? He was out on some country dirt road he was on. It was,
Oh, I ain't telling.
Yeah, oh,
yeah, yeah.
They're getting out.
And then the straight tires, no rims are not like they take them off and put the fancy ones on. I don't know how many rims. Yeah. Pallets. Then he had they were gonna get into the business. To sell that stuff. I need 2 more of them.
Probably they find some wholesale also,
Yeah.
get rid of them. Who knows? Probably takes a lot of time to figure out that stuff too.
Alright, we can do the budget here,
Yeah, the budget hearing.
yeah,
Yeah.
discuss our budget. So we're still on.
All right, the next round here is for the budget.
So we need a motion to, open the public hearing to discuss the budget appropriations for the city of Braidwood for the fiscal year beginning May 1, 21 and ending April 30th, 22, I imagine.
You make a motion?
I'll make a motion to open a hearing to discuss the budget Yes.
Commissioner Saltzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Jones,
Yes.
open meeting.
So what I would suggest now that we're in hearing is, for the city to provide an overview of the budget, big numbers, big changes, you know, anything particular in there. And then comments and questions can be provided.
Wayne, you wanna do that, or you got the budget?
Yeah, okay,
So this isn't for a vote right now, this is only for public hearing to discuss the budget, the amounts of it, so the public can have an opportunity to hear about it, ask questions, provide comments, and so on.
I went over the budget, I'm in favor, you know, we're within, but balance, but I do have issues later on when we go.
Okay, do we do any public issue list, or this is just council discussing it?
No, this is a public hearing, so the city provides testimony about the subject matter, which this is the budget, so if anyone can provide input about the total amount of the budget, what's being changed, any big changes, any big expenditures that are built into the budget, and so on, so the public has information, enough information to understand what it is and ask questions or provide comments. So right now, at this time, it would be whoever's opportunity to speak, and then after the city is done providing information, other council members can ask questions or members of the public can ask questions.
I mentioned to Kyle, I should have called his dad, supposedly, Governor Pritzker said that he is going to cut back on our income tax that we receive. Did you hear that? No, you don't read the paper, you don't.
I have not.
What's the news? Okay, I just wonder where that's at, Mr. Altieri. Have you seen it? Have you got any information on that yet?
Nothing solid. There's talk every day about something different all the time, so it's hard to say. I think what we were looking for, if I'm not mistaken, is so that the public can understand, is being sure the finance commissioner what, I know the budget's larger this year, if you can kind of inform them on why and all the other stuff. I know you've been talking with Kyle, so I don't want to step on your feet there, so if you could, if you wanna give us some information.
It's up a little bit,
And why it's up and stuff like that.
yeah, but the thing is too, some of the stuff is like, on revenue, when it's added in there, that we got the stimulus money, that's $375,000. And then that's, income, but, I don't know if we even got it, so our income is good. And I went down the line, and we're pretty good, well, I was really surprised, Kyle was telling me too that, we are fortunate that, people in Braidwood are paying their real estate tax, and that just, there's a lot of areas that people are behind that, so we're very, very fortunate in that, so. Total revenue is in good shape. I know unless you wanna add something, I can't think of, the revenues coming in real good. But, no, except for gaming. I think, I see that Kyle did, add stuff on there that, with anticipation, like, the growth with new houses and that, so. It looks bright. That's all I have.
If I might make a suggestion, we have a couple of items on the new budget that are highlighted. Perhaps we can go into explanation of why those are new items being added. I'll go to the computer and pull that down so public can see which highlighted ones we're talking about.
explain why they were?
I don't know, it's the same money, the base is the same as last year. And, the grant money, is this showing for the, BAHCC, IMRF, I'm not sure about why, grant and that, and,
That's the IPRF.
yeah, other grants, $5,000, that could be, but, small grants that you've been bringing in.
A little, some clarification on what the budget are. Some of these highlighted ones, like the PACE grants one that I actually got 2 years ago, and we're following it every year. If you look at the budget, some of it's not in the revenue, it's only in the expense side. So what we're doing is in order to offset everything, you have to put it into the revenue so that at the expense it offsets. Otherwise, it only has one side coming out. That way, we have more expenses than revenues when we actually are getting it in anyway.
Is that just a new account that you're using then?
Yeah, that's just a new revenue, so we still get, before the revenue was going into just a general fund account. Now we actually break it down so you can actually go into it and see that it came from the PACE bus grant, and, this way the money exchanges where it's more easily found.
So these four on this page, like he said, the PACE money's about the same.
Yes.
It didn't really change.
Yeah,
We've
no.
got a new account number. These
Nothing
all-
changed, we just put it into the revenue side at the same time instead of just the expense side. And if you look at, page 2 on the, appropriation, the general fund, you'll see the $375,000, it's another grant we have. We originally started, when I started doing the paperwork on the grant, we were approved for 1.1 million. And then after our state kind of modified it, because they thought they needed a good part of it, that dropped down to about $754,000. So that'll be a $754,000 grant we have coming, but being the state only has X amount of dollars, we will receive half of that this year, and then half of that next year. So in essence, again, this is the $375,000 put into our revenue side, and then it's also gonna be on I believe it was ended up putting in the administration on the expense side. So one just offsets the other, but this way everything's broke down, we know what grants and everything comes from where.
Because the last year was $495,000 and $150, that's $953,161. But that's where it's coming from.
This one you're speaking about is on the expense side. Do we have a revenue account for that also?
Yes, we do. Right above, or underneath the PACE bus reimbursement grant, the two lines down, look all the way to the right in the FY '22, there's $375,000 right there.
Yes.
That's in the federal grant.
Thank you.
Is that correct, Wayne?
Yep.
And other ones we have, which are on detail, expense, I think we just broke that out, Chief, right? Is that just to, that's money that comes from when we have next line?
Yeah, traffic control that they reimburse us, so I wanted a line item for each one to, again, cancel each other out.
Right,
I did that with school resource officer also.
right, and then the dispatch services, I believe we just broke that out to a separate
So
line.
one line item instead of two.
Right. What else we have? So the septic and sewer disposal fees, so that's an income we have, septic trucks that come and dump it down at our sewer plant. And I believe, if I'm right, Doug, we're just trying to break that down so we have it showing actually what we're bringing in from that portion. It's, we're trying to make it more, I don't even know how you want to explain it, just so it's much easier to see where the money comes from, where it goes to, so that if anybody looks on it, you can see it doesn't need any explanation.
Yeah, that was, Mr. Gravetti's, idea that, he kind of wanted to have a line item where that, because we hadn't done it in the past, so he wanted to make that clear for everybody to understand.
Yeah, I believe it came from Mr. Money, but we'll go for that.
Well, I'm I'm sure they work, talk together, okay?
Right, that's why
I'm not pointing
Commissioner
fingers.
Baldwin suggested it to us, thank you. Audit fees, I'm not quite sure what that one is. Wayne, can you explain that one?
Well, it's 18,000, that's,
No, this is 10,000.
10,000. You know, I looked at it before. No, I don't know what that's new. I don't know what that's about.
And then if we go to the, MFT, or the, I'm sorry, the appropriation exhibit A, motor fuel tax. Motor fuel tax is one that, we worked with and I worked with our engineer on, a year and a half back or so. We did some paperwork out, we filled out, we got $408,000 in grants coming from that. We get $68,000 in the spring, $68,000 in the fall for 3 years. We've got 3 payments so far, and that is for, new roads, improvements, something on that sort, correct, Mr. Weber?
Yep, major road
It's
construction.
kind of in a holding cell right now, so we have a lot of businesses, a lot of things coming in, so if we need be, we want to be able to assist with, or if we needed new roads, in the future for, very specific on what we can do. So that kind of ties that money up a little bit.
Glad to see that, glad to see that.
Well, we're on a weekly basis, I'm applying for grants, every week. Every single week, we're looking for something new, and it's been amazing. Workers' liability insurance, I'm not sure why they broke that down, I do know. So basically, our insurance is just broke down in 2 now, instead of one lump sum of close to 300,000, we broke it down to our general liability insurance is roughly 195,690, and then our work comp is on a separate line item. That kind of goes out when we go with payroll. That's all I see highlighted at this time. If anybody has any questions for Mr. Solomon or any of the council, I believe we can take that right now, right?
Yeah, and if any council members have questions or
Anyone,
comments.
council members, anybody? Audience?
Hi, my name is Gregory Cholet, I'm at 176 Harbor Landing. Is it okay if I remove my mask? Thanks. I follow on Facebook and sometimes it's hard to hear people with their mask on. My background is I have an MBA and over 20 years of budget management experience, so I did some analysis on my own using Excel and came up with some questions that I wanted to put forward tonight. Mr. Altieri, thank you. I think you already explained my first question having to do with the $375,000 grant. It's in the revenues, and then you see it as an expense in the administration
Yes, sir.
item, but really it's just a wash, correct?
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be, we were supposed to get $754,000, then I went into a hearing with one of the senators, and they're like, oh, well, we're only gonna be able to give you half this year.
Okay.
So then we reduced the revenue side down to 375 and the expenditure down to 375 instead of the 750.
Okay. And so without, if you take that line item out, then it looks like your budget increase you're asking for, actually it's a decrease of over 30,000 from the current year budget to what you're asking for next year, correct?
Correct. And we, the council and the chief and everyone together said it works very tightly together to keep our budget for first time. And I've lived here for 25 years, actually, where it's under budget, so.
Yeah, thank you for all your hard work on that, and thank you for all your hard work on securing all these grants. Great job.
Thank you.
Another kudos I want to point out to Chief Lyons, the police department has made significant cost reductions in the last few years. They're on track to come in 15% below budget this year, and they're asking for a budget reduction of 0.5% next year. So again, thank you, Chief Lyons.
Thank you.
And again, with all the reductions in the police department side, you do also see, I know a lot of people, first thing when chief comes in, we had a lot of unmarked cars, we mark the cars, we want people to know, who the police are, and we want interaction at any given time, so we spend a lot of money bringing the police up to the quality they're at now, and everybody knows it, and we still are gonna be under budget.
That's fantastic, thank you. Just a question for the, I guess it's for the finance person. On numbers up there, there's a column for actual year-to-date, fiscal year 21. Do those actual numbers, is that through the end of March?
All right, so we're seeing 11 months of actuals up there with 1 month left to go yet, right? April?
No, well, yeah, counting this one, right?
Okay, that's what I thought, I just wanted some confirmation on that before I proceed. So,
96 days.
I'd like to find out, highlight what's going on with the streets budget. It looks like according to these numbers, Mr. Smith, you were given a budget a year ago of $256,000, and according to these numbers, you're coming in at, was it $310,000, which is a $53,000 over budget, over 20% over budget, and it's only for 11 months. There's still April expenses to hit yet. And specifically in salaries, you're given a budget of $100,000. You've already incurred expenses of $183,000 in salaries. Can you explain that?
They have cut my budget.
Yes, and when they cut your budget, you're still responsible for holding to that budget. That's your job, is to manage to the budget.
Listen, they cut it. Now they agreed to have last budget, I agreed to cut it $150,000, and then they were gonna replace that, and they didn't do it.
So when they didn't do it, you're still responsible for holding to the budget that was approved, correct?
You have to shut it down.
Yes, you have to make
shut it down.
cuts.
If I can't, if cut it so bad, I can't. Now, you look at my budget back in 2018, and see how much they cut. My budget was 300 and something thousand at one time. There.
So you're still responsible for adhering to your budget.
Are you saying to shut the streets down?
No,
I
let me hold up an example for you, okay?
Let me tell you something. You didn't say nothing about it. When they went over 300 or 400,000 of the budget, nobody said that. But me, if I had to do it because that's payroll, I'm short men. I can't do anything about it. I didn't have to.
Here's the problem I have with that. Chief Lyons cut his budget back drastically, and he laid people off. And I understand, it's hard to lay people off. I've had to do it to meet budget. That's how the real world works, is when you're given a budget, sometimes you have to lay people off. How come Chief Lyons could lay people off and you can't adhere to your budget?
Because I haven't got but 2 people all the time.
Well, that means one of them's gotta go.
No discussion, I see where you're coming from. I cannot operate on my budget and do what I'm supposed to. I have to go over it or either shut her down. And you got agreement with a union, you got 90 days before you lay anybody off. You can't lay them off.
So you were given a budget of $100,000 for payroll. It looks like you're gonna come in at $200,000. So about 6 months ago, you knew that you were gonna be over budget, right?
And you ain't gonna had to be, or shut the streets down.
So
we had snow.
So how come 6 months ago, you didn't put the 90 days in to lay somebody off?
Discussion. I don't intend to stand here and argue with you when you are set to do this.
I'm just asking you to fulfill your responsibilities in the city council and adhere to budget, and you're telling me you can't?
Did you want the street plowed with all that snow, or did you want to let the little kids walk in the streets and not moving? Is that what you want?
What people have done when they go forward in the real world and they say, if you cut my budget.
I told them at the beginning, I could not operate on that budget, and they know it. And they cut it anyway, and without my permission.
We don't need your permission to cut the budget. The budget is voted on by the city council.
Yes, sir, but they didn't do what they voted to do. They were supposed to add 2 men, and they didn't do it. out of the water and sewer. It's in the minutes. You got that? You look that up?
That's
And
fine,
they
but it
didn't do
never happened.
Huh?
It didn't happen, right?
No, they said they would do it and wouldn't.
Right.
Wayne, didn't they agree to pay, if I cut the budget 150, that they would replace it?
So now, last year's budget was 100,000, now you're asking for.
Hold on a second. All right, to make, a balanced budget last year, we agreed to cut his budget by $150,000. His budget was scheduled to be $250,000. He would have been, under budget and fine. But, we agreed to do that if we could work together with water department and get, some help from them. That's why it's over.
And they didn't do it.
So let me make a clarification before we start stabbing each other in the back.
Yes.
Let's be clerical. He's correct. At that time, the budget was cut so we could have a balanced budget, which you understand we have to
I
do.
understand.
Okay, so two of the people were moved under Mr. Money's budget, because he had a little bit to play. That was all fine, it was all working fine and dandy. Mr. Smith got upset, didn't like the way it worked, hired his own attorney, and came to us said, I don't care, I want both those men back, and men back. Told him, you will not have the money to pay them, it'll be over budget. He says, I don't care. So I had Mr. Weller in there for 5.5 hours, making this agreement that the way Mr. Smith wanted. So we agreed, put everybody back under his, which he knew knowingly would put it over budget. Told us if he wants everything emailed, he's gonna give them a letter to do every single day of everything they need to do, and weekly. He was told then that there will no way you can stay in your budget. It did not matter. So that's why he's over budget. The council was fine and voted on. Mr. Smith decided to hire his own attorney and change it all. That's why we're where we are.
All right, thank you. So,
Now, listen,
let's
that
move
is
on.
not correct. They were taking my authority away from me and putting theirs in there and doing their work, taking over. And I would not have it, because I was elected to do this. I was elected to run the thing, not somebody else.
All right, let's move on to the fiscal year 22 budget. So your fiscal, actual last year's budget was 256,000. Now you're asking for 389,000, which is a $133,000 increase and a 51% increase percentage-wise from last year's budget to this year's budget to next year's budget. Why do you need a 50% increase?
I ran short of the men all year. They got days off, and I got to go down there. I've got 2 people, one off sick, and you can't do that with 2 people. That's why that I need more people to cover that. I do not have. You look at the union contract, the back, we had 6 people. It's not there anymore. And you cannot work people for nothing. But if you want to go to work for nothing, we'll put you to work. But people don't do it. They don't work for nothing.
So what cost-cutting measures are you recommending taking to offset that increase? I don't see any cost-cutting measures in your budget.
You know what? I had no choice to get in there to talk about the budget. I was put out. No, can't get in. I didn't get to discuss my budget like the rest of them did.
Are you talking about you didn't get a chance to discuss your 2022 budget?
Put a budget together, I should have been there.
Well, actually, I looked up the budget process online, and there's actually city ordinances that delineate what the budget process is. And the budget process is for the, let me see here. There's an outline in section 2-122 that outlines the powers and duties of the budget officer, The budget officer, who is that? Is that Mr. Saltzman?
Yes, yes.
So, let me read section 4 of that section. The budget officer shall obtain such additional information from the city departments, commissions, and boards as may be useful to the budget officer for purposes of compiling the city budget. Such information can be furnished by the city departments, commissions, and boards in the form required by the budget officer. Any department, commission, or board which refuses to make such information as is requested of it available to the budget officer shall not be permitted to make expenditures under any subsequent budget for the city until such department, commission, or board shall comply in full with request of the budget officer. So you're saying you didn't have any input. Mr. Saltzman, did you give him a form to provide input to the budget?
Yes, I talked to him.
So there's your input. You gave him a form, you filled it out, and you sent it back to him.
No. I kept him informed as much as I possibly could.
What information did Mr. Smith provide to you to come up with the budget?
He wanted to, put his budget back like it was in 2019. His budget was $250,000 in salary.
How many head count is that?
Pardon me?
How many head count is that?
Right now, just four. You got 4 people in the department.
I mean, under the new, so right now you have 4, is that full-time people
Yes.
and 1 part-timer? Or no?
No.
No part-timer.
4 full-times today.
Yeah.
So, under the new budget, how many people are you proposing to add?
My budget called back in the contract when Joe sent me here, 6 people. But we could cut them, we're not gonna go there.
He's satisfied with 4 people. He's not gonna hire anybody else. This has gotta stop. Let's move on.
So you're proposing the same number of people in next year's budget?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
I need 5 people.
All right, now I'm hearing 2 different answers. You said he's proposing you want the same 4 people, he just told me 5, which is it?
Now listen,
We know we can't have the other person. There's not the money there.
But he might
Let's
want
move
to
on,
get
Dave.
two different-
Great, let's move on. Fine. Have other questions?
I am not wasting no money, and I do not have the manpower. Today I had 2 people, one had to go get a tooth pulled or something. You can't work like that. It's not safe.
Great. So why do you need $9,000 for legal expenses next year? What are you gonna spend $9,000
They're
on?
always taking it out. Get the budget, look at it, it's always taking it out. They're taking it out, the clerks. They're doing legal service, not,
We have
sometimes
legal,
I wonder myself.
our people that come in and take care of the books and that, it's divided among the 4 departments. And that's to cover his part.
So this $9,000 is a department allocation. When you use the term allocation, I assume you know what that means.
Sure.
To use our city attorney, correct?
No. Well, yes and no, but what I'm getting at is expenses for, I think, I can't remember now, is that the line item that, from Kyle? Part of that 9,000? You're probably right, I could pull that $9,000 out and put it in payroll.
What I'm trying to find out is that $9,000 an allocation that goes to our Braidwood city attorney, or is this for some outside services that he's planning on hiring?
A city attorney.
There's not a man in here that can take the power of man and operate, not go up over the budget. There's not a person here that can operate public works with that many people and do it right for the time they have off.
This is
You can't do it, nor nobody else can.
This is-
If they
this
can,
is-
step in my shoes.
This is a line item that's in there every year, he may not use it.
So what it actually is usually when like tonight, you know, we have our attorney here, it will be broke up in per department. So if it was, cost us $300 for tonight, it would be broke up into 4 departments. It'd be $75 for each department, so it's broken up evenly. So last year, we went over what was expended in what areas, and we just, you know, and we allocated more money per department, guessing on what we spent last year per department and tried to cover that.
Now, you're trying to pick me apart, and now they're asking for more money, and look what they're getting.
Because they controlled their budget. They met their budget. They are under budget. I would trust people who come in under budget, not people who come in over budget and then say, I need more every day.
You need to take and show me how I can clean these streets, fix these streets, fix these potholes with nobody, with nobody.
Close the hearing.
I just refuse to discuss it anymore.
I make a motion, we close the hearing.
All right, I will end my comments by saying that I do not agree that we should go forward with Commissioner Smith's budget, and I don't want the city council, I know you're gonna vote on the budget, I don't want you guys to be trapped into an all or nothing vote. So when you vote, I would urge you to vote no, but then I would urge somebody to make a motion to come back and vote for everybody else's budget, except for the streets budget, because I think that needs more work. I'd love to see more detail behind why they need a 50% increase. Thank you.
Hey, make a motion, we adjourn the public hearing.
We need to provide the rest, if there's anyone else who has.
Anyone else have a comment, please step up.
This is for budget specific stuff still.
It's not for budget, it's for work week.
There will be a general public comment to follow this public.
Oh, okay.
This is just an informal hearing on the budget right yet.
Oh, okay.
So give it just a minute. This is only budget talk.
I make a motion, we close the.
Anybody else?
Okay, no other public comment regarding the budget public hearing? Then Wayne, go ahead.
I make a motion.
At this time, we'll close the meeting.
I make a motion, we close the meeting.
I'll second.
Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
Commissioner Money,
Yes.
Commissioner Saltzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Budget hearing is closed, 7:40.
All right, this time we'll open up our regular meeting. And if anybody has a public comment, come on up. Oh, roll call again.
We're already in meeting,
Yeah.
Okay.
so it's public comment.
I'm up, okay. You sure now? My name's Jay Dixon, 195 North Lincoln Street. My comments to Faye. Faye out at gas station out there, Marathon gas station. The guys were cleaning it out, and you pulled them off of it.
Clean what out?
The ditch. The ditch is in front of Marathon gas station,
That's state, fella.
but
That's state.
our guys were cleaning it out.
I said it was state, and listen, if my men go over on the state and get hurt, the state won't back it, and our insurance won't back it. Where you at? You gotta have permission from the state to do that.
So we pulled all that crap out, put it all up there in big piles, and we're gonna leave it.
And that's the overpass state.
That ain't my question. We've created the mess, right?
I didn't create it.
Did your men create it? Did your men create the
It
mess?
was created back when I wasn't in. My grass.
Hey, it was just done this year.
No,
I got the grass out there.
I didn't know nothing about them creating it. I don't send my men out on the state. I never,
The property-
if they went out there, they went out on their own.
The property right in front of the Marathon station is state property?
Yes, it is. That's overpass. Did you know that Hickory Street used to belong to the state? They give it to us.
Well, my question is now, we've created the mess. Even though it's state property
I
or whatever.
didn't know anything
Okay,
about it.
hey, you didn't know anything about it. Okay.
Create that.
Okay, is there any chance we can get it cleaned up? I maintain the grass out there. Is there any chance we can get that mess that we created out there?
I don't have the pipe for that.
There's no pipe, it's all the dirt and all the crap that was dug out of the bottom of the ditch to make the flow through.
If I put it back in, it won't flow.
You can't haul it out?
Huh?
You can't haul it out?
Yeah, if I get the okay from the city council or the state. We're not supposed to go on the state now. I didn't create it that I know of.
Well, then you weren't doing your job, then Faye, I'm sorry, you
Who
weren't,
done it? Who was the foreman then?
whoever, the last 8 months, whoever the foreman was, all I know is I took over the job of cleaning the place up. I cleaned it up years ago, cut the grass. I came back in this year to take and maintain the property. There's big piles of dirt that our guys put out there. And all I wanna know is, can we get it cleaned up so I can maintain the property properly? And it looks nice when the people, you know, we got people going out and cleaning.
Are you mowing for the state?
No, I mow for the marathon. That's marathon property.
Yes, we can move that dirt out, but I can't put a pipe in there.
Faye, no one's talking to you about putting pipe
This
in.
is the first time it's been brought to my attention.
Faye, I'm not talking about putting pipe in. I'm talking about moving the piles of garbage and dirt that were dug out of the ditch so the water could flow. And all I want to know is, can we get the piles of dirt removed? There's no pipe involved.
Sure, I'll get in there and do that if my guy's done it.
Okay, thank you, Faye. I think you need to
But
start,
I
I think you need to start watching what your guys are doing then.
I was thinking, I was told, I know when it happened, and I know who gave orders now.
Well, it makes no difference who gave you.
It's the first time it's been brought to my attention. I didn't, who told you I was eating?
All right, anybody else have a
Move on.
comment?
Hi, I am Sheree Salazar, 465 East Reed Street. For those of you who don't know me, I am the project coordinator for the Braidwood Coalition, and I'm really here just to say thank you to the City Council and the city for being such great partners, and we just want to share some of our successes. So we've prepared some sheets for you that you can look at on your own convenience, and a little letter that I'd like to read right now, if that's okay. So, Dear Mayor Jones, as the Braidwood Area Healthy Community Coalition enters the halfway point of our 5-year drug-free communities grant, the coalition would like to take the opportunity to thank the city of Braidwood for their service as the grant's fiscal agent. Your investment in advancing the common good in our community has helped us to provide both youth and community-centered efforts to create a better tomorrow. The Drug-Free Communities Grant has allowed us to provide youth prevention education materials to the schools, prevention messages to both our youth and parents, and substance use resources to our community. Additionally, we have been able to collaborate with our schools, police department, city, and other organizations to sponsor drug and alcohol-free activities for our youth, and to offer substance use and leadership training for members of our Reed Custer Against Drug youth group and coalition. Since the DFCU grant was awarded in 2018, area youth who reported past 30-day alcohol use has decreased by 10%, and those who reported being supplied alcohol with their parents' permission has also decreased by 7%. Area youth who reported misusing prescription drugs is now at 0%. So again, thank you for your continued support and for being an integral part of the positive change we are seeing in our community. That is all I have.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, thank you. And then these are the sheets that I was talking about. So I'm sure these two.
I'll leave them here, we can hand them on to her.
Perfect. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
literally 401 North Hickory Street now. Number one, I wanted to just say, hey, it was great working with you guys getting that building up. It was really, it's paying off real well. Just as an example, we sold 4 carts on Saturday. You know, that's money in the city's pocket. 1% of all the sales go to the city every time. So that's a big change for us. I mean, we're on Main Street. We're lucky to sell 1 car every week, you know, much less 4 on a Saturday. So that's a big change, and we think it's going to pay off really big. Also, I just wanted to say I was looking at the budget a little bit. I've seen some raises in there and some things like that, but normally I would have had a hold the line thing, but just as an example, I'll use an example here. The former city administrator who cost us right around $100,000 a year, he brought in no grants the whole time he was here for 4 years. And he brought in well, he did bring in the ice machine. So I guess he brought something into business. It's a nice ice machine, you know. But I gotta say that, you know, typically a city administrator, just as an example, gets paid a pretty good salary, but when they bring in the grants and stuff like Tony is now, it offsets it by a long shot. And that's the way it's supposed to be done. And I'm really happy to hear, I've seen the police chief's budget, he's been under budget. To come back from where this place was 2 years ago is amazing. I know that when we took office, that, you know, when I was in office, we were $700,000 in the red when we took office. We managed to get it down to 200,000. That's not easy to do. You guys have done more than that in less time. So, congratulations. Keep up the good work, and well deserved. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else, public comment? Nobody? All right, at this time, we'll close public comment. All right, now we need the approval of the minutes of April 13th regular meeting.
I make that motion.
I second that.
Commissioner Michael?
Yes.
Commissioner Buddy?
Yes.
Commissioner Saltzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Sustain.
And Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'd like to say something about this weekend at the grand opening out at Camping World. They put up a huge flag that makes our town stand out. Looks very cool. And they plan on trying to double the size of their building and business, so they're gonna be a great asset to our town. And I went out to Bill's store this week, it looks awesome. Very nice. So, support your local businesses. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Tony.
All right, we have, this week, usually what happens is usually at every May 1st is when raises come. This year just happened to be that we have, all our union contracts come up, so as everybody knows, that takes a lot longer to get negotiated out. We're just finished up the last ones in the last couple weeks. So what we do is we always negotiate these union contracts and we go to the administration. We have one union contract on for approval tonight, there was one last week, there'll be one more here. Our administration, as most people know, it is underpaid. We have 3 things coming up for raises today, which would be our clerk, Mr. Beatty. We're looking to give him a $3,000 raise, which is about 3.5% or 4%. He's still under the average. What we did is went out and kind of found out what all the average people make in all the other towns of our size and did that. So he's there with our chief of police. We're looking at a 2.5% raise, plus, he opted out of medical insurance through the city, which we made an agreement of about, we're gonna give him an additional $4,000 on his pay for that, which actually saves the city money. He already has insurance, so we wanna make sure, because everyone else in the city gets insurance, so he is due some sort of compensation at the same time. That's all we have for him. The biggest issue that that a few people have had is my salary. Okay, I'm a builder, developer, real estate agent, I have a lot of other businesses. I've been in Braidwood forever, 25, 30 years, I love Braidwood, I'm gonna stay in Braidwood and keep making it go forward. Okay, I came in originally 2 years ago, asked for $78,000 and said I wanna be paid on performance. So if I can prove that I do my job, I'm looking for $100,000 to $110,000 after I prove my job. Okay, so to do that, today I'm asking the council, which is an ask, it's not nothing guaranteed. I'm asking for $106,000, which would be a $28,000 raise. Okay, a lot of people say that's an excessive amount of money. Well, and originally I wanted to prove I could do it. So let me explain a little bit of why I feel I would do that. In the first 2 years, we brought in just under $800,000 in grants, which would pay my salary for 8 years. We're in the process of another $750,000 that we have coming, which would put it at $1.5 million. $1.5 million in free money that does not have to be paid back. We've, along with the chief and all the other people, have dropped the expenditures by over $2 million. And something we also got to remember, when we say we dropped the expense, let's just use 1 year. We dropped the first year by $1 million. So that means that year we're going to drop it by $1 million, and every year after that is $1 million less. So that's $4 million there. After we went and found a ton of stuff that was overpaid, we found a lot of money that was paid. We got it back into the city. We found internet that was we're paying $2,000 a month to, that we've been paying for 1.5 years before we were here. You know, that's $24,000 more we saved. We've got multiple businesses already here. We have a lot started. Average other administrators, you got Coal City at 132, you got Dwight at 102, you got Manhattan at 145, Mantino at 100. We did go around and I did go and see what others make just to do it. The jobs I perform are on day to day are all the normal ones, plus whenever any of the city administrators are not able to be done, I step in for them, do what I can for that, make a lot of decisions, and then bring them to the board for approval. A lot of them that I don't think are my spot, but you know, when we need help, we do it. So far to date, as far as businesses come in, I have Beaver Creek Golf Cart, we got Rocky's Gaming, we have Mighty Towing. We worked with Camping World for the last 6 or 7 months to get them to where they're at. We have the Braidwood Smoke Shop, we have Federated Bank, we have a t-shirt guy that moved in next to Dairy Queen. We helped relocate the crawl space guy into Mr. Kennedy's building. We assisted with Warren. At the time that Warren moved over to his new building, he could not operate. The previous council could not get him functioning again. That was one of my first jobs as I was here. Another one we're doing with is Ultimate Rides. You know, Ultimate Rides is into this for a couple $100,000 already, so they're coming here. We have proposed businesses. I'm going to put some out there because some I don't have solid yet. We have a truck stop. The reason the truck stop is not in here yet, which that alone will give us 50% more in sales tax, just alone. The reason they have not started yet, and I will coordinate this with Mr. Weber, is because we feel, after discussing with Mr. Weber, that the roads that, on the frontage road that will be the main entrance all the way by the highway, we don't want it to turn to gravel. With discussion with Mr. Weber, we don't think it's going to be strong enough to support. So if we do this at the time we're making our agreements with the businesses, then they either take care of all of it, or some of our different MFT funds we can help with improving that road, so once they're here, we don't have to worry about destroying our city roads. That's a big one. Ultimate Rides, they're in the process of ordering their building. Last meeting, we just approved them to be able to pay us back for the money they have, which means we have no skin in the game on that one at all. So that one alone is going to bring us 30% more on tax money. We have a couple of people that bought lots down on Easy Street. They don't want me to dispose of or tell you what the businesses are yet, but they're coming. We have another gentleman who's on to open a sports complex in town here, who has already got a contract on the land. We're in talks with multiple car dealerships. The 47 acres on Coal City Road, we're talking to them about stuff. We're talking about additions to a lot of the places that are already here, along with 2 other subdivisions, an 80-lot subdivision and a 20-lot subdivision. The 20-lot subdivision, he's looking to come from up north. They're talking $350,000 homes. So it's a lot of tax base. All this takes an excessive amount of time. So that means Monday through Sunday is my job. I do 4 10-hour days, and then I'm always here on Friday when need be, Saturday, Sunday. Just like me and the chief were out at Camping World and the mayor this weekend with the opening, doing a PR there. We do it all the time. Where did some of the grants come from? We had $408,000 in the MFT grant. We had $4,000 for X-Line grants to do the sign one of them coming from there. We got $70,000 in Pace Bus grants, which gets our senior citizens to and from your grocery stores and your medical. We have safety grant for $43,000. We have electrical grants. We assist the chief in some of his area over there, and a few other ones. Right now, we're working with the USDA grant, along with the American Rescue grant, which is a $754,000 one. Some of the grants, some of the equipment that I've arranged and helped with the range of all our department heads is let's go through some of the equipment that was purchased for the city at 0 cost to you. We have printers and all the squad cars now, which means that we're going to save time on inputting tickets. We have a fast training system right here, which I think Chief was talking about maybe in the next couple councils. We're going to do a little kind of show and tell. Bulletproof vests, safety vests, traffic wands, and then computers for all the computers. For the admin department, for the girls and the people work there, we've got monitors for all the new, the little monitors when they're trying to do water bills, and they have 2,200 water bills to do. Bigger monitors. We purchased our COVID sprayers, so we spray these before and after. We wipe stuff down, and all our safety equipment, gloves, masks, laptop computers, computer stands. Some of our, as we know, we're all getting older, so sitting kind of kills us. So we have desks that our computers can raise up so they can stand most part of the day, so they don't have to sit all the time. The water department, we bought a Polaris ATV, and what that is, what we use that ATV for is we're going to have multiple issues right now. So right now our guys walk miles a day doing weed spraying. We bought a sprayer that mounts on the back, so instead of a 10 or 12-hour job, it's a 4-hour job. It's safer for the guys to, less time, which means they have time to do other stuff. We went through the entire city and got a grant to do an MXU, which means that now we don't have to walk every yard, which we had before, to read every meter. Now we have a guy that sits in his truck, drives around up and down every single street. That alone, $130,000 for that one in that vicinity? In that vicinity, we got the MXUs for the water and street department together.
On that one person?
I'm sorry, yes, sir.
So if you do the math on that, there's 2,200 water accounts roughly, just shy of that. So if you break down the cost at $130,000, that grant money saved each homeowner about $70, because everybody would have had to kick in for their MXU. So I believe it comes out to about $70 a house that saved us.
Okay, and then for the equipment for down, which is a combination between streets and water, we got an A-frame hoist so they don't have to lift heavy equipment out of the back of trucks. We got a brand new tire changer, the tire balancer, so we don't have to take them in. They can change them on a whim when they want it. We have something called a thumper. So what that is let's say you have a leak in your yard or something, they can hook it onto a garden hose or something, and it actually traces where your water line goes. So if you got a plastic water line, we can't really locate it because we don't have a locator. This piece of equipment here helps locate that, along with the one to locate the sewer. Between the two of them, that alone is like $10,000, all grant money, 0 cost to you. We have safety ladders, mobile dollies. I'm sorry.
Can I interject one more?
Absolutely.
With the thumper, he's talking about being able to map out the water. We've never been able to map out the water mains. We've been able to find the buffalo boxes manually. They stick a pole in the ground, and they've been able to find the fire hydrants. The other thing this does is they locate the water mains to put in buffalo boxes We put a guy on the ATV he was talking about. This is a stick that they walk around with, it's got a screen on it. Normally it takes 3 hands to use it. It mounts on the ATV, and the guy drives ahead of everybody, and he's able to mark without getting off the ATV. He can pull up, it'll tell him where it's at, he can stop, spray it, move on to the next one. It takes a few seconds now versus he's gotta pull up, park, put his flashers on, get out of the truck, grab the equipment, walk over, stick it on there, hit all the buttons, paint it. So again, it's efficiency. We've got everybody coming right behind him, they can do the work, there's no bottleneck. They can keep on going because he's out ahead of them and he's able to keep going.
And by being able to find this, that means that when we have a foot of snow, somebody gets, like my neighbor, gets to close their garage door, their water meter freezes, they have no valves to shut it off, they can go out there and go to that house and go, that's where the water meter is. So instead of you flooding your house for an extra hour because they have no clue where it's at, we'll be able to locate it instantly. Money saved for the city and different other aspects besides all this. Our first year when we come in, we went out for a different bids on our medical insurance because it turns out that our last one was a friend of a friend that sold medical insurance. We spent $57,000 there. I already told you about the internet, along with everything else like the chief and the reduction of extra people that weren't needed. They actually had one person there that was the police department's actual just personal mechanic, just for his cars. They had almost $100,000 a year. We already have a mechanic. This was a friend hired, and that expired. We found $9,000 in overpayments to one law firm. We found one of our ex-employees, no names, that is no longer here, had themselves and their husband, both we were paying family medical insurance on for one family. That was, we reduced that was $22,000 a year. Another $10,000 to another attorney. We found approximately 20 homes in Braidwood that were actually, when the switchover, when everybody used to pay Claypool separate from their taxes, when they combined them, we found 20 homes that slipped through the crack and weren't getting charged taxes. So right there alone, you're looking at 20 times that much money coming into the city. We've had Verizon, we've cut by over $4,000 a year due to the past administration thinking they needed to have 10 or 15 extra wireless cards just in case they needed them. We were paying monthly on those. $9,000 in overpayments to another construction company. We found with the clerk last week, we found an overpayment of $40,000 to unemployment. So with all this, and just to this point, we're looking at $1.5 million in grants. We're looking at millions in expenditure saved. We're looking at almost 10 new businesses. Granted, they're small right now. The other ones are coming. They're already, our truck stop's already over $1 million into us, so they're not walking away. And other ones. So all these millions, which add up to about almost $4 million in 2 years is what we've done. And this is a group effort. This is not just myself. I may do the grants and stuff, but all the expenditure cuts are most of us. I'm asking I'm asking for that $28,000 raise. Some people were worried about your opinion that would be that's too much of a raise. But if I would have thought that I wouldn't have been able to do my job, I would have came in at 90 to start with, and then just took a normal raise. But I wanted to show everybody what I could do before you paid me the money. So that's my long and short on myself, my job, what I do, why I feel I'm worth the money. This way everybody knows it, because we all know that social media beats everybody up. These guys are here making $2,500 a year, which is well underpaid. They should all be twice that at a minimum, and I'm going to suggest that in the future that they do that. These guys told me no already, but these guys all work. These guys are doing it. Mr. Money's in here all the time. I mean, we meet with the mayor every day. I mean, they're all hard-working people. All this and the raises still keeps us under budget from last year and this year. These are all already appropriated into the budgets, nothing, so all this stuff goes through. We are still under budget. We are still here for your people. I live here, I love Braidwood. I work my butt off every day along with all these other people. And I plan on doing it every day, and I don't plan on stopping, so, again, just so I put everything out there, because anybody that knows me, I don't hide behind anything, I don't, you know, if I say it behind your back, saying it to your face, and that's my presentation. So I'll give it back to the mayor to, see if, the council feels the same way.
All right, I think you guys are doing a good job. Pretty smart guy for picking you guys.
I appreciate that. That's why I said we work as a team. This team works very well together.
Do the thumb.
Mr. Money, I didn't hear you. Oh, yeah.
So while you were talking, I was running the numbers here. If you take $28,000, you divide it by 2,200 to round it to make the numbers easier. It comes out to $12.70 per year per house. So if you break that down monthly, you're talking $1.06.5 per month per house. Just want to put it in perspective.
What did we save on water meters alone?
130, 140,000
Per house?
oh, per house, $75, somewhere in that ballpark.
All right. Let's go to our city clerk, who's doing a very good job too. Oh, we need a motion for the resolution to approve benefits for our city clerk.
Yeah. I make motion to.
Before we do that, there is a emendation that needs to be made, section 2, approval of benefits, there's a typo there, it still says the previous city clerk, Teresa Fisher, so strike that and replace it with my name, Adam Beatty. So motion to.
I'll make motion to accept the clerk's position as raised.
There is a resolution for that, so that would
I mean, the red resolution.
be making the motion to approve, the resolution to approve the benefits to be provided to the Braidwood City Clerk and Beatty with the necessary corrections.
Correct. Make that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
Commissioner Money,
Yes.
Commissioner Salzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
No,
Mayor Jones,
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you.
All right, the next is a resolution to approve benefits to be provided to the Braidwood Police Chief, Todd Lyons. Need a motion?
I make that motion. I second.
Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
Commissioner Money,
Yes.
Commissioner Salzman.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
no,
Mayor Jones,
Yes.
motion carries.
A resolution to approve benefits to provide to City Administrator Tony Altieri.
I'd like to make a motion in the resolution to approve benefits to be provided to the Braidwood City Administration, Tony Altieri, with the salary to be $96,000 a year.
Give a second.
Where do you come up with that number, Wayne? I mean, what are you trying to save, 12,000, is that what you're doing?
I just think that 28% raise is a lot at this time. I'm not comfortable with it.
Third call for a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
Commissioner Money,
Yes.
Commissioner Saltzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
No,
Mayor Jones,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, next thing is our city engineer. Dave, you got anything?
Sure. Mayor, I would just report, related to what the city manager is speaking about the truck stop. A week and a half ago, we had a virtual, conference, a meeting with the engineer, the developer, the architect. And we went over their conceptual site plan, which I made some, recommendations for the interior configuration. And then to piggyback on the city manager's concerns of the road and the intersection, we did request of them to core that road to prove its ability in order to handle the number of trucks that they are having come in and out of there, which we do not have the traffic counts now. They have that knowledge on their other operations. So it's better that they perform those calculations themselves. And then the intersection design study where the frontage road comes up and meets Kennedy Road. It's our thoughts that that deserves a left turn lane to go back to the interstate, because most of those movements are gonna occur right at that interchange and that frontage road. So I did follow up with the developer's engineer today, and they did say that they have employed and engaged consultants in order to core that road and to do a preliminary intersection design study to meet our requests. It's their thoughts that they're still moving forward fast and furious, and more than likely, they'll probably want to start moving dirt at the end of the year. Perhaps start foundations and try to go vertical during the winter, but of course that will slow things. But the major improvements, paving and so forth, would occur in the spring of next year. But they're thinking that we're gonna see some movement out there before the end of this year yet. So that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Dave. I jump back to the clerk.
No, no problem.
Yes, you got it.
Only two things this time. This past weekend, we had the community cleanup that went very well, organized by John Brustat, so thank you. I just offloaded tires and a jug of motor oil that was just carelessly dumped on the side of the road. This was on Novi Road. We found 5 tires and a container about this big around of unused motor oil just tossed on the side of the road. So I dropped those off to Tire Tracks in Wilmington, who graciously disposed of the tires and oil at no cost to the city. As far as FOIAs go, I did one FOIA for water billing for the elected officials, 2 hours to compile that. I processed one for the previous fiscal year audit, 1 hour, and a FOIA for the proposed budget in the Excel file. That was originally with the city accountant. 1 hour process that. So year to date, 31 FOIAs at 47.5 hours. And that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Adam. Tony's got one more thing.
Yeah, so what else we're planning on doing is, we're gonna be getting a beautification committee going together so we can start dressing up even more of the town. Also, other parts of grant money that we have, we're going to, our plans are with discussion with the mayor and chief and Mr. Money and Mr. Michaels, is that, some of you may go to other towns and see the nicer stop sign posts, you know, they're kind of a decorative post, it look a lot neater. We're gonna start transitioning all our stop signs and street signs to those. One good reason is they look way better, and the second reason is we'll be able to mount street signs on top of the same stop signs, so that way when the guys go around doing mowing and weed trimming, instead of 3 posts, they'll have 1 to go around. These will be mounted on a concrete base. They have the nice, kind of like the light poles we have uptown, and you'll have them on the stop signs. And that again, there's no money out of your pocket, and they'll be straight. So.
Hey, Tony, and also too is IDOT approved, right? Cause
Yes.
they're a bigger sign too.
Yep, everything's IDOT approved. Me and the chief and the mayor, Joe Brown, I think we have
Mantino, Beecher, and Piatone.
Yeah, so something on that order, they look really nice, and again, $0 to you. So, but we will be looking for people that are interested in helping out with, the, Beautification Committee. We put out last week about temporary part-time grass cutters. I think we only have one applicant on that one. So hopefully we'll be able to move forward with that by the next meeting. I just gotta check with their attorney, see how we can do that. And again, everything we're doing is within a budget. Thank you, that's it.
All right. Brian?
Have nothing to report tonight, Mayor, thank you.
All right, Wayne?
Any bills? Okay. Bills have been revised. Carol did call me and told me that, hold off. They'll try to get it ready for tonight. So I, make a motion to pay the bills of $87,101.35.
Second that.
Commissioner Michael?
Yes.
Commissioner Money?
Yes.
Commissioner Saltzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, payroll. Make a motion. Payroll $85,364.15. Make that motion.
I second that.
Commissioner Michael?
Yes.
Commissioner Money?
Yes.
Commissioner Saltzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, before we, correct?
Yep.
Okay, before we, make a motion to pass the budget, being the, the financial guru, one of the line items on the street department is, he's got, $20,000 on engineering fee. I want to take $8,000 out of that and add that to his payroll, bringing it up to $216,068, because he will probably need a little extra payroll with, his part-timers he's gonna get, and he's not hiring anybody full-time. Is that okay with everybody? I'm just moving money, which I have the right in the finance.
Now, there's one guy I've already hired back in November last year, and he was legal. And they claiming
Hold on.
Yeah.
What? How do we go from here?
So if you were proposing that change, what you could do is you make a motion, to approve the ordinance just as it's stated in front of you.
Okay,
And at the end of it, you would state that with the change of $8,000 from the engineering line item in the streets department to the salary.
okay, I make that motion to, approve the budget with, the line item that I said before be added to the budget.
We have a second.
I'll say.
Smith with a second. Commissioner Michael? Sure.
I have a couple questions for the attorney.
What's $8,000?
I don't know that.
Okay,
Something you brought up earlier, Mr. Chenoweth,
approve the budget partially, are we allowed to do that?
So in the municipal code, it provides a budget that would be presumed to be a full budget, needs to be approved before the end of the fiscal year, which is April 30th. So I mean, you can, but you wouldn't be in compliance with that ordinance.
Yeah, that's what I was curious.
There are penalties that may be out there, and we could discuss those in private. I wouldn't discuss those publicly. There may or may not be, you know, you might be compelled by a court to pass a budget, amongst other issues.
Okay, thank you.
It would certainly be my suggestion to pass a full budget.
The motion by Commissioner Saltzman, seconded by Smith, moving to the vote. Commissioner Michael,
No.
Commissioner Money,
No.
Commissioner Saltzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes,
Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Round one.
You're still on.
Oh. Well, what else we got? No, that. No, that's all I have, I'm sorry. I'm all done, thank you.
All right. Faye, streets and public improvement.
it seems that everybody wants to down my grade, and after I have been tough and went along and been cut 3 times, and they increased in it, but decreased in me. And I got stuck because I believed the guys would do what they said. And I wouldn't have went over my budget, but I got cut.
You got a decent budget now, Faye.
Now,
Move on.
the reason I did vote against it, I want to know, why am I I'm trying my best to do what I can. I seem to be influenced to get out. I'm not getting out. I'm not resigning. You might move me in a box, but I'm not getting out. So, that's all I have. OSHA was down today, and I worked with OSHA in Chicago 30-something years. And at the last, I had good fellowship with them. And I asked about some of the people that are all retired now. And I learned some things that I didn't know. And I have no problem. I know that some people wasn't happy, but we're going to straighten it out. But we're going to have to spend a little money to do what they said. We will put safety first. So we had a pretty good talk. It didn't hurt me a bit, because it's all in my favor, what we discussed. But somebody don't like it, or what I'm running safety first. Now that's just really what I'm trying to tell you. If I get on state property, get somebody hurt, then I'm coming after him, they're coming after me. She told me, this woman that come down, said nobody is over you, you're the one. And if there's anything happens, we're coming to you, not nobody else. And everybody's trying to tell me what to do. This and that. I am the one that's over public works. Now they brought that in, but public works, that we don't have so much of, but we're supposed to have. So I was happy with what she said. by OSHA. I will abide by OSHA. That's all I got.
Just to clarify some stuff, Mr. Smith believes that we are against him. We are not against him. Rules that were broken many, many times in the past, and you can please verify if I'm wrong, but you are not able to hire above your appropriated money unless they modify the budget. So he believes that I was fighting, he has a part-timer, please give me a moment, thank you, that he believed he hired full-time. Well, once you transfer from part-time to full-time, that's hiring above your budget. Even the union has not accepted it. So we are not fighting Mr. Smith. If I review and I try to do my due diligence for every commissioner here, I work with the chief, I work with everybody to keep us within legal area. Due to the fact when we came in, and me and the chief looked at it, the previous chief hired, what, 7 guys after he was above his budget. Highly against the law. So we look out for every person in the city. I don't dislike anybody. I take my job very seriously. I do everything I can to try and keep things the way they are and look out for each one. So I'm not attacking him. I'm trying to bring things to his attention. And no, the OSHA did not go real well today. But thank you. That is all I have to say.
I will tell you, and you go back to it, when, he was, with here and Rich Gerard. They had a book, and it fixed that book. And it's supposed to have been renewed 3 years later. It wasn't renewed, it's dropped. You're going by that book, it ain't effect.
Is that not state statute? You can't spend above your appropriation, or is it city ordinance?
It's in the municipal code.
It's in municipal code.
It is in there.
Yes.
It's been
Not
dropped.
ours.
No.
No.
It has been dropped, they didn't restate it. Jim Pierce never renewed it.
No, so, Mr. L, Tony, you're asking about the appropriations.
Hiring above your budget.
It's expenditures generally, so it could be hiring, or it could be buying, anything.
At the time I pushed it up, it was in the budget.
Anything that you expend above the budget is void.
Okay. So that's why we brought it to Mr. Smith's attention, that by bringing his part-time to full-time makes that expenditure null and void, illegal by law.
And
It
then
was not, at that time, it was in the budget, because they promised it to me, and it didn't back down.
The legal approved budget, which was voted yes by all 5 council members, including Mr. Smith, voted yes. It was not. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
That's all I got. If you're gonna disagree with anything I say anyway.
All right, public health and safety.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance 21-08, authorizing the execution and approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the cities of Braidwood and the Policeman's Labor Committee effective May 1st, 2020 to April 30th, 2024.
I'll second
Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
Commissioner Money,
it. Yes.
I missed that one, I didn't hear it.
Yes. Police
Can you
contract,
repeat that? What that, what
Police
it's for?
contract.
police contract.
Is it got the orders for the chief?
No,
Is that what it is?
police contract.
Okay, okay, good,
Commissioner Smith,
yes.
Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Is that all you have?
Yes, that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Planning and zoning, we have anybody from?
Doug, I'm sorry, Doug, I just.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I will.
Doug, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
The guys put in a 14-foot garage door opener at the street department garage, worked with the high school engineers on a new water line to service various buildings there, put in a UV system for the May startup. We had to get one of our pumps repaired, we got that done, and one of the last storms that we had, it damaged our 600 amp service. We have a 600 amp and a 2000 amp service. So they had to comment out, it was a scheduled power outage at the plant, so we took the plant offline and ran it on the generator for 5 hours while they did the work on the line there. That all turned out good. We ended up saving a bunch of money because they found a way to fix it that didn't require thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Thanks to some very knowledgeable people that offered to help out. That's all I have, thank you.
Good call.
Okay, planning and zoning, we have anybody for, anybody got anything under old business? Anything under new business? All right, our next city council meeting will be Tuesday, April 27th.
That'd be May 11th.
Okay, May 11th. Sorry.
That's your devil in that, ain't you?
All right.
This is April 22nd, that we're having now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said May 11th.
Okay.
Now we need a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Money?
Yes.
Mr. Saltzman?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Jones?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out.
Actually, when you have.